That's really crazy. Mm. What is this? You can do filters? Oh my goodness. Hmm. You guys, I don't know what happened. Like the other live literally just stopped. It just stopped. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know. I literally don't know what happened. Like the other live just cut out. Like that's never happened. I mean, it's happened one time before, but like that was really abrupt. No, I don't know what happened. Like literally just went back to my home screen. I'm like, what's going on? Maybe it stopped for a reason. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Like I know standing for your marriage is not easy. Like it's probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done. Especially I don't even know how to word that. Like I don't even know how to word it, y'all. Because I was gonna say something, but I didn't want to say it the wrong way. But since I'm here, I can answer some questions because I know a lot of people still have questions and stuff. So I want to answer the questions for you guys. I don't want to be on here long in case the baby wakes up from his nap. So if you guys have any questions, I can answer the questions for you about anything. We can just talk because it's been a while since I've been on live. I hope that other live isn't still going. Oh my goodness. My head hurts. When do you know it's time to move on? When God says it's time to move on. But if God already said in the beginning that he's going to allow for things to be fixed, why would you want to move on? Because then you're disobeying. You're being disobedient. So the answer is when it's time to move on is not until God says so. If God hasn't said move on, then you shouldn't be even thinking about moving on. I think that the problem is people want to move on when they think that it's literally hopeless. Like they think that it's literally like there's no other solution, like it can't get better. And then it brings me to ask the question, do you trust God? Do you trust the ability of God? Do you trust the power of God? Or do you think that your situation is too hard for God? Because then it goes to nothing is too hard for God. So that's my answer to that question, Carlos. It doesn't matter if it's been 3 years, 2 weeks. If God says he's going to do it, then he's going to do it. And I was saying before, make sure that all of your focus isn't on standing, because then that's how you get weary, because you're too busy looking at the natural. Like that's all you can see is what you see. You need to start building a better and closer relationship with God so that time doesn't move you. That's my answer to that, Carlos. Yeah. Sometimes when you're at a standstill, you literally do have to wait for God's direction. Or sometimes even when you're at a standstill or you feel like it, God is waiting for you to come to him to ask him like what's next. You just have to go to him so he can tell you the next step. Right. If God said it, he's going to do it. Like, it's so funny because if your spouses came to you today and said, I'm here, I want to be with you now, I'm sticking with it. You know what I'm saying? I want us to get back together. You would put all of your trust into that, into another human. Yes, that is your spouse, right? Like, yeah, there's a certain level of trust that you have for your spouse. We put so much trust into the word of man, and then when it comes to trying to trust God, we start to waver a little bit. We start to, well, can God really do it? You know what I mean? If you can put your trust into man, you can absolutely put your trust into God. If you're going to trust anybody blindly, it should be God and only God. Right. Exactly. Like, you have to pray for yourself. And man will fail you. Man will disappoint you every single time. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, there's a level of trust. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm back. Not focus on the rest of it. That's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes you want the restoration so bad that it becomes all you think about. It becomes like an idol for you, and you start to identify with it. Like, that's your sole purpose for living, is to stand for this restoration and to fight for this marriage. And God doesn't want that for you, because then, like I said, you start to lean on your own understanding and not God's. And then you're wondering, why am I struggling? Like, why is this so hard for me? And it's because you're making the restoration bigger than God. And that's the problem for a lot of us. Like, that's where we get caught up. Did you do any deliverance before your marriage was restored? Faith, what do you mean? Like, for myself or for other people? What do you mean? Am I seeing all the comments here? For myself, did I do any deliverance? I will say, like, I was delivered from a lot of things that I didn't know I needed to be delivered from, which is why I'm able to say now that I'm a much better wife than I was before. And I feel like a lot of us have to go through some form of deliverance in order to be where we need to be, because standing for your marriage isn't just about you, and it's not just about the other person, it's both of you. So the way I looked at it was, if my marriage wasn't restored when I wanted it to be, it's because we both weren't ready. It wasn't just about him. And so that's why I say that this stand, you have to make sure that you're focused on you and not just what the other person is doing and what work they need to be done, because then you're not focusing on what you need to do for yourself in order to be a better wife or a better husband. We put so much focus on they need to be delivered. It's about their salvation, and we got to pray and make sure that they're better husbands or they're a better wife. But what about us? Are we ready for marriage? You know what I'm saying? Are we ready for restoration? If God told you that today he would bring your spouse back home, like he would work on things for you, are you ready to receive that? Are you still an insecure person? Do you still argue? Are you still easily angered? And if, you know what I'm saying? If you are, then you're not ready. A lot of times we think that we're so ready because we want it so bad, when really we're not. There's still a lot that has to be done inside of us, because God doesn't want to bring our spouse back and we're still the same old person. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's not just about the other person. Y'all, here come my husband, because I'm sitting in his car. I guess my question is, can I still read books and testimonies daily and pray without being out? Yeah, like, of course, like, it's our duty. Hold on, y'all. Oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all. It's our duty to pray for our spouse, whether you know who your spouse is yet or not. So I don't want to say that's making an idol. I think it becomes an idol when all you can think about is, I need this person. I need my husband here. Or I need my wife here. Like, I need their love. I need them to feel good. I need them to feel worthy. Like, that's when it becomes an idol, when that's all you can think about, like, day in and day out, is I need them here. Like, so there is a difference between it being an idol and then you just performing your duties as a spouse. Sorry, y'all, my husband keeps texting me. Yeah, if sometimes needs us to get to a place that we will continue to pray and seek God all the time. Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, Sometimes you only go to pray when you're in need of some type of, I need a confirmation about this word regarding my marriage. But on a daily, you're not just, okay, well, Lord, what's on your heart? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he'll come on now. Sorry, babe.
No, it's alright.
Will we continue? Yeah. And that's what I was trying to say too before. I was basically saying the same thing. Like, it's deeper than that. Being obsessed, that's a that's a strong word. That's a strong word. Being obsessed. That's a very strong word. Because you got, well, what did you do to get blocked? If you don't mind telling your business. Okay, and I hope that when he texts you that you're still, being cordial, talking to him, still doing your duties. I know it's also easy sometimes to get in our feelings and we're like, well, you know what? I don't even want to talk. Like, now you want to talk? Now you want to talk to me? Just make sure that no matter what, you're still playing your part. You're still doing your duty, What do you do if your ex-husband marries someone else? Well, Reese, is your ex-husband the person that you're ordained to be with is my question. And Erica, you went off on him. Okay, well, I hope that you prayed for grace and forgiveness. I pray that you prayed for him to forgive you as well. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to keep your emotions at bay, especially when somebody's hurting your feelings. But I just hope that you're not planning on going off on him anymore. Of course. God does have someone for you who will love you. That's right. I believe God told me yes after years when I got convicted. Oh, wow, Reese. So, okay. And that's, I always talk about how sticky it is when it comes to the other person marrying, like your spouse marrying somebody else. Because I don't, God doesn't like divorce. But if that person is your husband, I don't know. I don't like to speak on it because I just don't have the clarity on that yet. On what it is like if the person that God told you you're going to be with marries somebody else. I have no idea. And that's just me being honest because I don't want to give an answer that is wrong or that leads people astray. But that's something I would have to pray about too to figure out the answer. Okay, see, you guys can't be flying off the handlebars. That's the problem. That's when you get way too deep in your flesh. Y'all are so funny. I just want to be unblocked. Of course, but you know what? You got to take your focus off being unblocked and put your focus on making sure that your heart is changed so that you're not ever going off on your spouse anymore. Maybe you're struggling with anger, because of things that have happened in your life. Whatever it is, you have to make sure that you are healed so that you're not taking it out on them. Was asking for it. Y'all are so funny. When I asked God and I asked him, yeah, and that's the thing, God will confirm it for you. And that's why I'm saying, going to God is the greatest thing that you can ever do because you have all the answers that you could ever think of right there, at the tip of your fingers. Literally, you just have to ask. Tip of your fingers is the wrong thing because it's not like we're texting God, but you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say. But you know what, Cash? Can I call you Cash? I feel like it's one of those things where it's okay, now you're putting too much focus on needing to hear from your husband and God wants you to go to him. You know how people say God is jealous and he wants your love, he wants your attention too. When you feel a shift in the spirit, could there also be a resistance that God yeah, and I want to say the enemy will still use your spouse. Even if you guys were restored, he'll use anybody to discourage you, or you know what I'm saying. So of course, yeah, it could be the enemy is telling him something, or you know what I'm saying? Or it could be God. It could be God working on your spouse, and that's why he's quiet and he hasn't come to you, because God is dealing with him, you know? Yeah, y'all, I would have to really see about that, what it's like when they marry somebody else. Because I also do believe in wrong marriages, you know? Like, I do believe in people being with a person they're not supposed to be with. So that's something I would have to definitely get more clarity about, because I feel like it's so sticky to speak on when it comes to marriage and God breaking up a marriage to bring two people together. I don't know. So I don't want to speak on something I don't have the clarity on. Yeah. Well, TC, that's something you have to pray for. Why move on? Because what if you're the only person praying for your husband and you stop and you move on? Then what? And I know that's like a big burden to carry, but as a spouse, it's our duty regardless to pray for our spouse. Period. Why do we always have a fight every day? Well, that's the thing. I don't... Lord help me. How do I say this? It's not intended to be a fight every day. And that is why God says, bring all your burdens to him. Because it wasn't intended, it wasn't God's intentions for you to fight and to struggle with things in your life. You know what I'm saying? When he is there to carry the burden. It becomes a fight when your focus is on everything else but God. That's when it becomes a fight. That's when it gets hard. Because now you're focused on everything else. When you're focused on other things, that's when the enemy can come in and mess with you, mess with your mind, your spirit, make you feel, despondent, make you feel despair, you know? So it's about keeping your focus on God all the time. Well, yeah, Jay, you're not supposed to tell him that. That's something that you pray over. We have to learn when to speak and when to be silent, y'all, okay? That's another thing, right? Because at one point in my stand, I remember wanting to say a lot of things, right? Because I was angry or I felt some type of way, and I had to learn to shut up. You know, God will reveal things to you, not always to say things to them, because they may not be in a space to receive it. And that could be anything. It can be an I love you. It can be an I miss you. It can be a you got to pray for your salvation. God doesn't reveal things to you to just run and tell them if they're not ready for it. So those are things that you just, if he reveals it, you go to God, you pray about it. You don't tell them things. Sometimes you got to learn when to stay quiet, right? Because opening your mouth will make things worse sometimes than it should. Well, that's what a vision is. A vision is when, you see something. Literally, that's what a vision is. And it's more so, is the vision from God, or is it just, whatever? So that's what you have to pray for. Is this something that needs to be, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Do I put my time into figuring out what this is about, or is it just nothing? That's where your praise should be. Because he definitely... Oh, y'all, I'm sorry. The phone is on the steering wheel, so I'm trying to scroll at the same time, but I'm trying to see. Yeah, if they're not ready, you cannot, push things down their throat. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then that just makes them think that you're crazy even more. Because not only do they not want to talk to you right now, but now you telling them that they're in bondage, they're gonna be like, what? Like, certain things like that, if they're not ready, it's kind of like a baby. When a baby is 3 months, you're not giving them steak because they're not ready. They can't digest it, they can't chew it yet. You know what I'm saying? They're not ready for that. And it's the same thing with your spouse, right? Even though you guys are on the same journey to marriage, your journey is a little bit different because you know God. You're on the journey with God, so they're not going to understand those things the way that you do. So sometimes you got to stay quiet. You can't give your husband or your wife steak if they can only drink formula right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, see, and that's what I'm saying. Like, y'all be okay. Let me be real. Y'all pulling up on people at 12 in the morning, and then you're wondering, well, why is my marriage like this? Why isn't why hasn't God restored my marriage yet? That's why. Like, you guys have to be delivered from that, because one thing I will say, no man wants to come back to a woman who is still doing the same thing that she used to do. Right? I feel like the way it is, like, with society, is that majority of the time when we talk about a relationship and we talk about the person in a relationship who is the most annoyed and treated bad, it's the woman, right? Most of the time we're like, okay, these men treat us bad and I'm tired of this, you know what I'm saying? But oftentimes we can be crazy too, y'all, and we just have to admit that. Sometimes we're the problem, women. Sometimes we're the problem. It's not always the man. It is not always the man. So make sure, that's why I say it's so important to focus on you, because we get so caught up praying for our spouse will come back and be completely changed, but we're still going to be the same, and you don't want that. You do not want that. Like, that defeats the whole purpose of standing. Restoration is something new. You can't go into a different relationship being the same old person and having the same mindset. The way I looked at it was, before I got saved, like before I knew God and God changed me and like worked on me, that was a different marriage than what I'm in now. This is a brand new marriage. So imagine if I was that same old Zay in this new marriage. My husband would have been like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with, all that. They don't want to deal with all that. How did I say that on it? With your stuff being with your husband still, can you go over that? I'm in a similar situation. Wait, hold on, y'all. Okay, how did you hold on staying by my mom with your stuff? Well, I don't know what you mean, Burgess twins, because it was the same. Me being with my mom, the only thing the good that did for me was it was a lot of support. But I would say the biggest struggle was whenever I had those moments of like sadness, I couldn't be around everybody showing them that I was sad, so that was the hardest part. But other than that, it was still the same. I would still pray. Like, I was in my room praying all the time. Like, the stand was still the same. Nothing changed. Like, being at my mom didn't change anything, if that made sense. Is trying to pursue a woman but is watching me and trying to apply. Well, Cash, that other woman doesn't mean anything, so you don't focus on that. If your husband is watching you, that's a good thing. If he's trying to reply to you, that's a good thing. I feel like, I came across this post that I wrote on Facebook, I think last year. Like, we pray for certain things and then we get it and then we're questioning it. We're trying to dissect it. Like, I wonder why this is happening. Why does that matter? It doesn't matter why. You should be happy that your husband is watching you and that he's trying to reply to your story on Instagram. Why try to dissect what it means? It means that your prayers are working. It means that maybe now your husband is seeing a change in you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about. Like, your husband is watching you because he wants to see if you are a different woman, if you're different than who you are. And we can't be mad at that, because like I said, nobody wants to deal with a crazy person or somebody who is just, not easy to talk to or, change. You know what I'm saying? I had to leave my stuff there. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Burgess. Like, leave my stuff where? I'm not sure what you mean. I had to leave my stuff at my mom's house. Okay, I asked him about the vision. Sorry. Cash, it takes time to be able to hear God, and it's not audibly. I know I don't audibly hear from God. I know there are probably people who say that they audibly hear God, but I've never audibly heard God. When I hear God, most of the time it is me. It's almost like it's like your subconscious, so to speak, but you know that is God. And God doesn't only have to speak to you. He can speak through scripture. He can speak through numbers. You have to find the way that you hear from God the best. And that just comes with spending more time with him. Don't try to rush it, but continue doing what you're doing, and eventually you will. Well, Tracy, my thing to you is you came all this way, right? You prayed all that time. You got a ring. He asked you to marry him again. And now you're asking if you should wait. Why would you go through all of that to turn back around after you got everything you prayed for? That's why I say we pray for things, and then when it doesn't really look the way that we want it to look, we start to question it, right? Tracy, things take time. You know, things don't happen overnight, and there is a process to all of this. So yeah, God is still working on him, and he's still working. Love him through that, the same way that you did in the beginning, before you got the new ring and before he asked you to marry him again. You know what I'm saying? It is hard. Like, I know it's really hard, because it's like you're loving this person who, I don't know. I get it, Tracy. I get it. But I'm going to tell you to stick with it and to stay, because you've already been here this long. God brought you all this way. Why would you go back? Exactly. That's right, Reese. That's right. The Bible does say you shouldn't withhold from him. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if he's trying, love him through that. The same way God loved you before you knew him, you know, on that journey to knowing him. Oh, the first time around when I had to go to, my stuff was in Texas, and so I went back to my mom's house. I had got a new job, so I didn't really, like, I had a couple of things with me on the flight. Like, I brought some clothes and stuff, but I ended up getting a new job, and I was able to, you know, buy other things that I needed, but my stuff stayed out there until I was able to go get it. So, if that's what you're asking. No, I never asked him to bring my stuff before then. Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't have any patience. Is it a sin to delay having kids? Okay, let me get back to that. So, when it's not going fast enough, that's the thing. We lose patience because we think that it should happen as fast as we want it to. But like I said before, I don't know if you were listening before, sometimes we want things to happen fast just because we want it so badly, but it doesn't mean that you guys are ready for it. And it's kind of like baking a cake. Imagine you bake a cake, right? And you put it in the oven. You only leave it in there for 10 minutes because you want it so bad. When you take it out, it's going to be gross. You know, it's not going to be the best that it can be. So I always say, and let me tell y'all a story, right? When like the first time around, like 2018, me and my husband were going through it. No, this wasn't 2018. This is when I was at my mom's house. Either way, I remember one night, right before I was going to bed, I was laying there and I literally had this epiphany. And I was like, you know what, God? I'm glad that my husband and I, like, everything is not rushed. And I remember literally telling God, I'm glad that it's not rushed, because I would rather have my marriage when it is amazing than to get it now just because I want it and it's not everything that I desire for it to be. And that was the first time in a very long time that I was at peace with that. I was at peace with not having my marriage because I would want it to be better. You know, I want it better before I get it. I don't just want it because I want it. I want it to be at its best. And I'll never forget, I woke up. I fell right asleep from then. I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a text from my husband. And I specifically remember that I was like praying to God, like previously asking for confirmation about something, I think, or, you know, just looking for something, wanting to hear from my husband, wanting to talk to him. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm not even going to rush. I want it to take his time because I want it to be amazing, you know? And he texted me and I ended up getting what I asked for. And I learned that sometimes God will not confirm something, or he will not give you what you're asking for right away, because he wants you to be at peace. He wants you to have faith in him and faith in the process, you know, because if every time you wanted, God doesn't want to have to spoon feed you all the time, especially when you know who he is, when you know what he said, when you know all of these things. You don't need to be spoon fed. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't need to go fast. It needs to be good. Your focus should be more on it being the best that it can be versus getting it when you want it to come. Because I tell you right now, imagine standing for a year and your husband, you know, you guys get back together and it's just not what you thought. It's not giving what it was supposed to give. And then what? Now you're like, well, dang, I prayed for all this, but it's not really hitting like I thought it would. You know what I'm saying? So you should be wanting it to be amazing, not wanting it fast. I hope that makes sense. So let me read what you guys are saying. Yeah, Cash, just don't focus on all of that. Don't focus on all of that. Continue to pray for the people who have his ear, definitely. Make sure that those are people who are speaking life and not death over anything. So continue to pray. Continue to do what you're doing, because it sounds to me like you're doing fine. And that's another thing. I feel like we get so, like, we psych ourselves out. It's like, am I doing enough? And, what does this mean? Is this the right thing? And y'all are fine. Like, y'all are doing what you're supposed to do. So don't doubt that. We are both blocked, not getting married again. I have the rings, just don't know what to do. Tracy, I feel like, and I'm being honest with you, girl, you're too focused on your emotions right now. You're making it about you. And I'm being honest. This is what I love y'all, and I know I don't want it to come off like I'm being mean, but I'm doing to be real, right? I feel like you are too focused on yourself and your own emotions, right? Let me put it this way. You love your husband, right? And you obviously pray for him. You want him to be okay. Your prayers are the things that will help him get free from those things, from being angry and the drinking and the smoking. It's you that will help him to be a better version of him, right? You feel like you have to let it go because he's not reaching the standard that you want for him. God isn't giving up on him, so you shouldn't. You can't make it about you and your emotions and how you feel, because I want you to take a second and imagine how your husband feels, right? Being angry and smoking and drinking. This is what I want to say. People smoke and drink because they're trying to numb something. They're trying to get rid of a feeling or an idea or a thought that they don't want to feel anymore. Your husband is not smoking and drinking just because he likes it. Number one, it could be an addiction. You know what I'm saying? If it's an addiction, that's something that he needs to be free from, right? But you can't walk away from that because he is stuck with this addiction and with this anger. The anger is for a reason. We aren't naturally angry. Like, God didn't create us to be naturally angry people. So if your husband is struggling with anger and with smoking, with drinking, he is dealing with something that needs to be prayed about. He doesn't have the strength to walk away from the addiction and from the anger, right? Like, he can't do that on his own accord. But your prayers will get him through it. You know what I'm saying? And I know it feels like a burden. I know it seems like a lot, right? Like, our husbands or our wives, their freedom from certain things depends on us, but it does. Like, that's our duty, right? A part of being a wife is not just having a part of being a wife or a husband is not just having the good. It's not about having good sex and, just being with each other all day. We got to make sure we're both good. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole point to marriage, is to making sure that we're good. You can't only want the good and not expect the bad. You know what I'm saying? Both. You're going to get both in marriage, and you got to be down for both, Tracy. You got to be down for both, and that's just the truth. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. He will always take the head out. Why? Because he knows that without our husbands, right, what is the household going to look like? You know what I'm saying? What is the house going to look like without our husbands being there to lead? That's right. And we're there to cover them. We're there to help them get over and come over everything that the devil is trying to do to them. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth of it. I mean, he lives in his grand. Yeah, Cash. I mean, my husband was like that too. Like, that's how it is, and it's because they don't see clear. They can't see clearly yet. But you can't take those things personally. You have to remember who the fight is with. That's what it is. You have to remember who the fight is with. Yeah, look, we all get tired. Let me tell you, we all get tired, okay? Yesterday I was literally crying because I seen this video, and I was literally saying, like, I hate the world. I hate the way the world is. I hate the way things are. Like, I was literally crying because, like, I'm just emotional like that. But I was literally crying because I'm like, why is everything like this? You know what I'm saying? And I hate it. And that's why it's so important for us to stay connected to God, because things will get really dicey out here, and he's the one that's going to keep us sane, keep us together. Let me see. That's right. Oh, Reese, I'm so glad, Reese, that despite everything that you went through, you're able to still encourage people, you know, and still let people know, I wish that I would have did it differently. And that's what it's about. Like, divorce is not the only option. Like, I feel like it literally is the way society is. Like I was saying, like, they don't believe in saving your marriage anymore. The minute that your spouse makes a mistake, it's like, I'm done, I'm out of here. There's no reason to try to, you know, save it. And that's just not the case. You know, that's just not the case. You don't need to get divorced. Like, sometimes you just got to work on yourself, and you got to pray, and you got to help them, and you can't make it all about you, you know? So, Reese, I'm really glad that you have come to that realization. Well, Cash, God knows how to get to all of us, you know? So God is going to do for your husband whatever he can to make sure that he's following the right path. And whatever that looks like for your husband is what it'll look like. I don't know if he'll have to hit rock bottom. I don't know what that will look like. But yeah, God will get through to him. God can get through to everybody. He can get through to anybody. Trust me. Nobody's husband or wife is too hard for God to get through to. You know what? Is it Jay? Okay, Jay, you funny. Where I don't talk or say anything while he keeps on talking. Oh God, right? And you know what, Emily? You don't say anything. That's when you pray. Because I've been there before, and you just have to pray. And it may hurt, but you got to pray, and that's all you can do. You keep your mouth shut and you pray. Because, like I said, opening your mouth will make things worse. So. She said, that's right. I'd be like, I'm out. But you shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? I feel like love is like the greatest thing on earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally the only thing on earth that is ever worth, like, anything. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you love somebody, even if you're married and they hurt you or whatever, like, why not try to save it? You know? Like, why try to just... Because one thing that let me tell y'all. What show was I watching? Okay, y'all, don't judge me, okay? But I watched The Chi, okay? And on the episode of The Chi, they were trying... The husband, the man at one point, right, was a cheater. Before they got married, he would cheat quite a bit. They ended up getting married, and they decided they wanted to try an open marriage. And they decided that because the girl, they were like, well, you know what? Since you like to cheat so much, let's see what it's like if we can just talk to people. Now, in that moment of them having that open marriage, the husband realized, this ain't for me. I want my wife and my wife only. You know what I'm saying? So, what was I getting at when I got into this? Because I'm seeing all these comments. Okay, yeah. So they were in the open marriage, and they were like, well, he was like, I don't like this. Like, what's the point of me trying to do this, right? But she was like, well, I want to keep it that way because I don't want anybody to cheat. And in the end, they ended up coming back together. But the whole point was, like, we tend to think that, what's that saying? The grass is greener on the other side. And we think that if we get with somebody else, it's going to be great or it's going to be better because they're going to give me the little bit that I need. You know what I'm saying? And that's not always the case. You end up leaving somebody, trying to get with somebody else, thinking it'll be better, and you realize this wasn't any better, you know? So I don't understand the whole breaking up breaking up a marriage, unless it has to do with, like, abuse, physical abuse and stuff like that. It's a no. It's a no. But as far as cheating, adultery, I feel like that's something you can get through, you know? Before we was just shut up, I'm just praying for breakthrough. 10 years won't go to waste. One thing that I know when I was standing, God always told me he was going to bring back all the time that we missed. You know what I'm saying? And that's what God's going to do for you too, babe. It's not going to go to waste. I don't want nothing. I don't know how to... Okay, your last name is Boats. I don't know how to say your first name. But I'm going to pray that you are healed from that. I really do. Because I don't want you to say I don't want nothing. Because God wants everybody to feel love. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know there are some people who are just not meant to get married. But that ain't for everybody. The grass is only greener because of all the poop there. So if you tend your own grass, it would be just as good. That is very true. So what I want to address is D bless, where it says you were going to unsubscribe. I feel you. And I feel like that happened. You got weary and you started to depend on these prophetic words. And I feel like once you saw these prophetic words and you weren't seeing anything in your own life yet, it discouraged you, right? And that's what I'm saying. When you get to that point where you are tired and you're ready to give up, it's time to go to God. It's time to put your focus someplace else. It's time to depend on him only. Yeah, the grass is only green. That's right. Like, marriage, I know how people say marriage is only as good as you make it. That is literally true. Like, it's a choice to have your marriage be amazing or to have it fall apart. It's a choice. And so it's like, well, you know, what are you going to choose to do? Have you ever witnessed marriage restoration after divorce? Keys Wells. Yes, I have. And I, off the top of my head, I cannot. Okay. Y'all help me out. Who is, oh, what are their names? I follow them too. They were the very first couple that I saw get remarried after they were divorced. Y'all, oh my gosh. Sheila and what's her husband's name, y'all? Y'all know Sheila, right? Y'all gotta know Sheila. What is that? Y'all, I can't even remember. But yes, Sheila and her husband, I'm pretty sure her name was Sheila. I hope it is. But yes, they were restored. Their marriage got restored after they got divorced. They were divorced for a couple of years. God brought them back together, and they're doing amazing now. They're doing amazing. I followed them on Instagram and everything. They were the very first couple on YouTube that I saw about standing. She was the very first. Armando, yeah, y'all know. Okay, Armando and Sheila, yes. They were the first couple that I saw when it came to standing. They were divorced and they got back together. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Nothing is too hard for God. Okay, let me see what y'all were saying, y'all. I had a little brain fart. Well, Cash, that's because that's your man. God's not going to tell you to stop. That's your man. You gotta. God didn't allow me to stop either. Has an annulment out against me. Would be easier to stand. Well, Sammy, why would it be easier to stand if there wasn't an annulment? I mean, I get it, right? Naturally speaking, I understand. But remember, this is a supernatural thing. Therefore, that annulment shouldn't make you feel any different. That stand should still be the same. You know what I'm saying? You should still be eager to stand and understand that the annulment is nothing. That is nothing to what God can do. You know what I'm saying? Keisha, that's true. Even if there is abuse, that's right. But you know what? I know that will probably take a lot of strength to be abused and then to pray for your, for your husband. It takes a lot of strength, but you're absolutely right. Oh yeah, gym ministry too. How could I forget about them? Yvette and Gerald and Yvette. I'm pretty sure were they divorced? I don't know if I don't remember if Gerald and Yvette were divorced. And I was with them too. I was watching them too. Like, those are the top two ministries that I was watching. Okay, yeah, they weren't divorced. Right, they weren't divorced, but they were separated. But Sheila and Armando definitely were divorced for a couple years, I think. And they have their testimony on YouTube as well. Look them up, Sheila and Armando. And he talks about everything he went through when he was away from his wife. Charlene too. Charlene and her husband. Yup. And Charlene's husband, I believe, was getting ready to... Was he married to the other woman? He was getting ready to marry the other woman. I'm pretty sure. He was getting ready to marry the other woman. And that's when God came in and changed him. And even Charlene's husband, God was talking to him too. And they wrote a book about that. And I read that book too. And it was, I think the title of it is something prodigal. But yeah, like, there's so many stories of what God can do. So I don't want you guys to think that it's too hard. Sheila and Armando's testimonies aren't there anymore. That's crazy. That's interesting. Prodigal's perspective. I'm glad y'all know, because my brain... God led them to delete them. What? Hey, I mean, I don't want to question God, but those testimonies, that testimony got me through a lot. I don't know why God would have them deleted, but hey. That's crazy. I didn't know they deleted it. I mean, those videos are really insightful because people were relying on the testimonies and not their own walk. Okay, I can see that, because I do see how some people will watch a testimony, and if it relates even a little bit, they expect the same results. But I also understand how sometimes the testimonies are the only thing that keeps people going, you know? That's right, Lynette. Don't worry about those papers. Don't sign those papers or file anything. This is my take on a tattoo and a BBL, right? I always say that God tells us not to do things not because he is trying to stop us from living life or having fun, but because he understands the ramifications of certain things. So with the tattoo, right, we know that it's not right to get a tattoo. Do I think it is a sin to get a tattoo? No. Do I think that God doesn't want us to get a tattoo? Yes. Why? Because he understands we may get tattoos and years down the line regret it, and now it's stuck. And of course, now we can get tattoos removed, but it probably costs a lot of money. It's very painful. I feel like God tells you not to do certain things because of regret, and not so you're going to go to hell if you get a tattoo or if you get a BBL. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the bodies that we're in right now are not going with us when we die. So I don't want to say that it is a big thing on God's heart for us to not get a tattoo. Would he prefer that you don't get a tattoo? I'm sure he doesn't. Because what father wants their child to get a tattoo? You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it's a sin per se. That's my personal take on it all. Right. Yeah, that's right, Vanessa. Because I read the story and I remember like, wow, like I remember, weren't they I think Bob and Charlene, I can't even remember, but yes, that's it, that's what happened. He was getting ready to marry the other woman and he didn't. And he talks about all the turmoil he went through being away from his wife too. I'm not yet ready. Rangs, what do you mean to delay having kids? Demonic intrusion? See, Tammy, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? My personal thing is, I feel like anything can open the door to demonic intrusion. I think it depends on the person. Kind of like how you see people on YouTube say, God told me to stop wearing makeup, right? And so they get on YouTube and they say, well, God needs you guys to stop wearing makeup. I feel like God will tell certain people or push certain things on people who are more susceptible to that demonic intrusion, if that makes sense. So God didn't tell me specifically to stop wearing makeup, but God may tell somebody else to stop wearing makeup because of something like that, or making it an idol or something. So I think it depends on the person. I think it depends on the person. Yeah, I think it was for 5 months. It was 5 or 6 months or something like that. Yeah, everyone has their own conviction, right? So I know people who love the Lord and they are tatted up. You know what I'm saying? Has there been some type of demonic intrusion on them? I don't think so. I think it just depends on the person. You know what I'm saying? Even if there is demonic intrusion, people can be delivered, people can be healed, but I don't think that we need to judge somebody or tell them they're going to hell because they're going to get a tattoo. That tattoo means nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the grand scheme of things, anything can be demonic nowadays. So, you know. Yeah, Bob's, oh my gosh, Bob's devotions, absolutely. Like, I think that was the first time that I had really heard about a man talking about what he went through, like you said, the other side of things when they're with the other person, because it's easy to think, oh, he doesn't think about me, or he doesn't dream about me, he doesn't care. But Bob will let you know, like, he was thinking about Charlene. You know, he was thinking about Charlene a lot. So I enjoyed Bob and Charlene's testimony too. Exactly. We just got to mind our business. We can't speak on everything. Everybody's life is different. Everybody's decisions are different. We can't judge anybody for anything. You know what I'm saying? You want to get a tattoo? Go right ahead. If you don't feel the conviction, you know? Y'all, I've been on here almost 50 minutes. A narcissist. No, I don't think my husband was a narcissist. I don't think my husband was a narcissist. My husband, I believe, was dealing with pain on his own. And that was his way of getting through it. And I think the enemy fed on that. The pain that he was feeling. I don't believe he was a narcissist. Some people, when they're hurt, they react differently. And that's what it was. And the enemy played on that pain of his. And, that's what I think happened. Do I believe that there are narcissistic people, though? Absolutely. Some people do struggle with that. But that's something that you can be healed from and delivered from, too. Feels like torture. Oh my gosh, I do know what that's like. That feeling of like, dang, I wish I didn't love you so much. But I'm telling you, it's the love that's keeping him. It's the love that's keeping him. So I know it hurts, but God wants you to continue to love that man. Are you a woman, D Bless? Okay, yes, because you said hubby. Okay, let me just making sure. Yeah, the Lord wants you to continue to love him through it all. Trust me, I know it hurts, but man, that's what's keeping him. That's what's keeping him. So I'm not ready to have a child. I'm moving in with my husband almost 7 months, but till now, all right, was that a sin? Because someone's thinking about my marriage. Rangs, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. You said you moved in with your husband and you've been living with him for 7 months, but you're not ready to have a child. Was what a sin? I'm not sure what the sin is. Yeah, Javante, it was a 2 full years. Like, it wasn't where it is now. So it was so we were together, but the restoration of everything, totality, because I want you guys to understand, and that's why I think when people get restored and it doesn't look perfect right away, they're like, well, I thought God restored it. Restoration isn't just the coming back together of you guys and you guys saying, I want to work this out. It's more to restoration. Restoration is everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Rejoice Marriage Ministries. That's what Bob and Charlene's thing is. Barbie, I did reach out to him whenever I felt led to only. Because I didn't want to push him away. I mean, there were times where I didn't even pray about it, and I was like, I'm going to tell him I love him anyway because I do. And I did. I did reach out to him. Suddenly he just stopped talking. Well, I don't know how to say your name. Is it Karoon? I don't know how to say your name, but it could be because God's working. Sometimes then when they stop talking, it's not just because they don't want to talk to you. I feel like they could just be dealing with some things too, and they just need time, and God needs time. So I don't want you to think that it's something with you, because it may just be God is trying to get through to them. Right, you have to love them no matter what. Let me tell you, like, my husband, I always say my husband, like, I love my husband more than I've loved any, other man here on earth. But he definitely knows how to push my buttons, right? Like, it's so funny how the person you love the most is the person who will literally make you want to beat them down sometimes. But you love them, and you can't help that you love them, and you shouldn't be ashamed that you love them. You shouldn't feel bad for loving them at all, ever. You shouldn't feel bad. What do you do on your part? I say that you continue to pray. I think you need to continue to pray and to ask God to, my phone's about to die, y'all. Ask God to help you to continue to love him and, just help you to get through it. Give you the strength to keep going. Even if you want to ask for confirmation and just say, hey, Lord, is the lack of conversation because of you? Are you working on him? What's going on? And, just ask God for peace. Y'all, my phone's about to die. So let me just say one last thing, right? A lot of people always, I feel like they feel so ashamed for loving somebody who seemingly doesn't love them back. But let me tell you something, right? Your spouses could tell you that they don't love you. They could tell you that they don't care about you. They can say all that, but it's not true. And why I say that is because When you are ordained to be with somebody, you are connected in ways that you have no idea about. So even if they wanted to stop loving you, they could not. And I want to say that a part of the anger that they feel is because they love you and they don't want to, but they can't stop. You know what I'm saying? You have to love them through it all. Literally love them through it all. And I want you to think of a time where maybe you weren't the best version of you and they loved you still, or they forgave you for it. You know what I'm saying? Even if it was something as simple as hurting their feelings, or maybe you lashed out or whatever. Think about a time where you didn't deserve to be forgiven, or you felt like you didn't deserve to be loved, but they still loved you. And when you think about that, I want you to just return the favor, because right now they need us. You know what I'm saying? They need us and we need them. And it is okay to need somebody. It is okay to be needed. I don't want, people say, I don't need anybody. Yes, you do. And that is why God created woman for man, right? Because God didn't want us to be alone. It is okay to need somebody. Right now, they need you. And it may hurt like hell. It may hurt really bad. But you got to just love them. Hell on wheels. You know what, Jay? But no, I'm serious, y'all. You just got to love them. Like, you just got to love them. And they love you. And I promise you, one day, after all this is over, and y'all are good, and y'all are sitting on the couch one day, and y'all thinking back to how things used to be, you will hear a thank you. You will hear a thank you for loving me. You will hear that. You will hear a, how could you have loved me through all of that? How did you still love me the way that you loved me, with the way that I treated you and the things that I said? You will hear that. They will be so grateful that you continue to love them during this time. So I want your love to be, the number one pushing factor to keep you going. You know what I'm saying? Don't be ashamed of that love. It should be the thing that you're happy and you're proud about. It don't matter if your spouse cheated or they're with somebody else. It don't matter what nobody else says. You love them, period. And you be proud of that. You don't be ashamed of loving that person. Don't be ashamed. Especially if God is backing it. There's no reason to be ashamed at all. Right? So let me go, y'all, because my phone is probably on like 6% right now. So my phone's going to die. I don't want it to die in the middle of it. But it was nice talking to you guys. I know this is probably the craziest I've ever looked on YouTube. Y'all just really be talking to me too. Like, you know what I feel like? I feel like we're friends. Like, you invite your friend over or whatever, and you don't really get cute because it's your friend. That's how I feel. Like, I don't even need to be cute because we all just talking, Like, we all just sitting on the couch, and I'm looking crazy, but we don't care. That's how I feel. Now, I don't look fine. Look at these braids. I done had these braids in for like maybe 2 months now. I'm looking a hot mess, but whatever. So it was really nice talking to you guys. And let me tell you, before I go, God has been telling me that I need to get back on, with the ministry. A lot has been going on. So I want to make it a priority again to really, be on here. So, girl, you see, and my hair, let me tell you, I relaxed my hair after like 5 years of being natural, and I ruined it. I re-permed it, and my hair is literally falling apart. So I think I'm gonna have to cut it into like a pixie cut or something, because I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna have to cut it all off again or something. But yeah, the new growth is hitting, ain't it? Hopefully, you know how you have your braids in for like a month thinking your hair is gonna be down to your butt when you take the braids out? That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, I do feel like I'm among friends, and I want you guys to see me as a friend, not as somebody who just has a ministry or who has a whole bunch of followers, because I am a nobody. Do you understand? I'm a nobody. So I'm gonna try to see you guys whenever the next time is that I'm on live, y'all. So, if there's anything else that y'all want me to talk about, I can do that. But please, for the love of all things great, don't ask me no more questions that y'all have already asked. Because if you go on my channel, you can see that I've made a whole bunch of videos answering a whole bunch of the same questions. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about, as a woman, like, let's talk about, being a wife. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about getting cute for our husbands or something. Let's talk more about just standing. Because what about, what's going to happen when it's time for the marriage to be, y'all are back together, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about marriage as if everything is cool. Y'all are already together and that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk like that. So ask me some questions like that, you know, like, where's a good place to buy some lingerie for my man? Or if you're a man, let's talk about, what do women like? What would my wife like to see? You know, what things can I do to make my wife happy? You know, let's talk about some stuff like that, okay? Just saying. All right. So I'll see you guys in my next live. For real, y'all, leave some comments about whatever y'all want to talk about and we can just talk. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.